Hello, and welcome to the Tower Coffee Hour. The Master Board met on May 28th in 2026, and it was a fairly straightforward meeting. But there was an interesting part at the beginning where one of our fellow residents complained about the noise and vibrations coming from a local business, and he's obviously having a rough time on it. So take a listen, see what happened. Lots of good information about the financial plan, an APD pilot program, and row home recommendations. Hello and welcome. This is your host, Preston Tyree, and I'm excited to talk about the Empowered Cafe, which is opening right here in our building on Aldrich Street, looking out over Lake Park. It's a coffee shop, but it's got space for community to gather, and it's really, really special. The reason it's called Empowered is it's part of the Down Syndrome Association for Central Texas, and it's a space for people with Down syndrome to work and gather. So check it out. It's got great coffee. I had coffee and breakfast taco this morning, and it's pretty doggone good.
Joining virtually, hopefully the audio will be better today because we're using microphones so that the people online can hear as well as the people here in the room. So for those who attend the meetings regularly, you know the first part of the meeting is called the member forum, where people can sign up to address the board for up to 3 minutes. And we encourage people to send in their questions or comments in advance. And I do have 3 people who did send in emails, so I want to address them first, and then we'll get to the others who would like to make comment. So we've heard from Philip Valladolid, and he's wanting to know some specifics about his row home situation regarding the timing of his purchase of his home and some other nuances of reacting to the special assessment. And he has provided us with his direct phone number to get back to him. And so, Tricia, I would ask that you follow up with this community member so you can have a more in-depth discussion of his situation. Our second write-in question was how much of the special assessment is going towards paying the claims deductible. This is Jad Ching. He says, my insurance policy limits how much it pays out for assessments that goes toward the payments of the insurance deductible. And they're requiring this information. And so what I would say in response to this question is that the way we have sent out the resolution that the board approved earlier this week that makes it clear that the special assessment is based on the shortage in what the money that's needed to make the repairs and the restoration of the row homes. And to dive in any deeper is to get into how the claim with the insurance company was settled, which went through a long process, including dealing with the deductible that was applied. So the special assessment is indeed not specifically the deductible. The third person, Sarah Sines, submitting questions. She's asking about the process for reimbursement for out-of-pocket repairs done by homeowners as a result of the hailstorm. And the process is to send in an email or go by the office and provide your receipts for your repairs to the Cohere staff. Because we are now dealing with the special assessment, which will be due at the end of September. The deadline for those reimbursement requests is June 15th because we're getting close to dealing with the actual special assessment payment. So if there's anybody out there that hears this, please do get your reimbursement request with your receipts to Cohere by June 15th. All right. And now, Myrna, do we have some folks who'd like to speak?
First person is David Segal.
Okay, 3 minutes, David.
Yes, so since February of 2006, or since February earlier this year, HEB began staging refrigerated trailers, right? Outside my, nearby 350 feet away from my residence. You guys are aware of this. You received a letter from me in February. Tricia personally closed this matter. I brought it up to the board meeting, previous meeting, right? I have been unable to sleep at night because of the cycling from this. Low frequency vibration coming into my house from the floor, from the air, and it's waking me up every four times a night, and there's several parts of the community covenants here. No noise or other nuisance will be permitted to exist. It's also, that it's a violation of 923A4 of the city code, right? Which is they're not allowed to run any refrigeration equipment between 7 p.m. and 6 a.m. This has been happening every single day since February, since they put these new trailers there. The vibration was so severe that it knocked out all the lights in my stairway, right, at one point in time. It is ongoing, and I need to have some kind of immediate urgency with resolving this issue. This could be conducting a formal enforcement investigation concerning HEB's refrigerated trailer operations, issuing notices of violations and fines pursuant to the community covenants, requesting cessation of these operations that are causing this nuisance condition, and if necessary, pursuing available injunctive and enforcement remedies authorized under the community covenants. This is, at this point, since it's been completely ignored every time I've reached out, it's escalated into a legal matter, and you will receive the former notice from my attorney probably sometime next week. But in my mind, this is just negligent, and, had Tricia followed up with me, I would have gladly, explained, the difference between low frequency vibration and, medium wavelength sound, which, apparently, not a lot of people understand, but the bottom line is this is an urgent matter. I've had to lease another place. I can't sleep in my home, which I own, and in my mind, this has just been very negligent on the part of the community association to address this issue, and I would like to see it formally addressed.
Thank you. Myrna?
Is there anyone else who would like to speak today?
When is the special assessment? When is that going to be due?
Or I'm going to start your time and you can address the board. Okay.
The special assessment, my question regarding the new special assessment, when is that going to be due?
It's going to be due the end of September, is my understanding. Yes. And an invoice will go out within 30 days. You will receive an invoice, and it will be due by the end of September. And if someone becomes aware that they are not going to be able to pay it in full, they need to communicate with Cohere prior to that deadline and to make arrangements to get on a payment plan.
Karen, could you repeat the question into the mic, the chat?
The question was when the special assessment was going to be due.
And is there a special contact person that I need to contact at Cohere to let them know that I need a payment plan?
Tricia?
Yes, it'll all be in the invoice that you all receive.
Thank you. Okay, well, I think now we will call the meeting to order. It is 6:39 p.m. We're calling the Master Association Board meeting to order. We do have a quorum. Is Joe Bruce in attendance?
He is.
Okay, great.
Yes.
All right, Joe. We've got the full board, which is wonderful.
Sorry, it's hard to hear some of y'all when y'all are speaking, so if everybody could speak up. Hopefully I wasn't too loud. I had my mic on mute.
Okay, we will speak loudly into the microphone. And so we're going to be passing this around. When you, board members, when you want to make a comment, please let me know and we'll give you the microphone. So the first order of business is to approve the meeting minutes from April. So I don't know if you've had a chance to look at that, board members. If so, could I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move approval of the last month's meeting minutes as written.
Thank you, Mike Jones. Thank you, Mike Jones, for motioning approval of the minutes. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Stephen. Stephen spoke loudly that he would also second that motion. So, are there any revisions or suggested edits to the minutes? Any corrections? Hearing none, I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor of approving the meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, the minutes are passed. I have laid out the agenda a little bit differently. Board members, you may notice a little bit of a change. Other than the meeting minutes, I put all new business or approval items under new business so that the financial report gets approved under new business as well as anything related to a report earlier on the agenda, just so that we clearly see the business items that we have on the agenda. So moving along, we'll go to the report from the Executive Director, Tricia McKinnon.
Thank you. My first update tonight, I would like to discuss some of our staffing advancements that will be coming our way. The Director of Community Operations has been selected and will start on Monday, so you all will get to meet her next month, which is very exciting. Also starting next month on the 16th of June is our Director of Community Assets. So both of these candidates come with a strong background. We're getting the operations director is coming back from Seattle. She started here in Mueller with the Origin Hotel, getting that up and running and off the ground. So it was exciting that she had a desire to come back and is thrilled to be back in Mueller. The Director of Community Assets is coming to us from a city near San Antonio. So he is making the move up to Austin. So we're excited to have them on board. We have final interviews for our operations coordinator as well as our senior maintenance technician. And then that leaves one position open, which is our porter position. I want to talk about our community engagement. As you can see, we have a lot of folks in the community that like to engage with us. We have had over 1,500 folks reach out to us through Vantica, and that is just in the last 30 days. Of that, though, we in our staff in the office have responded to 666 folks, and the response time is usually within a day and sometimes within the same day.
Excuse me, sorry. Not in my case, but
Please continue, Tricia.
Thank you. Anyways, so what I wanted to show, though, that I found to be interesting is the different areas in which people reach out to us and the needs that they have. So we have a lot of folks just have general questions or general needs. It's probably just because they are not sure which category to put their question in. and then the rest of them are broken down into smaller chunks up there. One of the things that we're working on, just for your awareness, is within Vantica, we realize that our drop downs don't always identify correctly what people might need, or they're misleading, so we're working on updating that for the community. We have our community standards program that will be kicking off here soon. While we're getting this program ready, I wanted to inform you all that it is coming. We're starting with an awareness program. We are building awareness and curiosity throughout this program so that folks can see this program as a partnership. Why this matters is we want to see this not as an enforcement program, but a way for us to engage with property owners so that we can work together following the covenants that we have here. We're doing this through a simple idea, which is what you see there, and that's the framework of this program. The idea stands for inform, discuss, engage, and act, and that is how we will approach this. The step one is focusing on building awareness. So this is the first teaser that's going to go out for the community to see. In addition to that, we are going to be gathering feedback from the community in different ways. We'll be sending out surveys and working on ways for the community to engage with us so that we can find out what matters most to them. In addition to that, we want to have FAQs. We want to clarify responsibilities. What is the POA's responsibility versus APD, for example, versus City of Austin? So we want to make sure that that's clearly identified as well. And that then will create alignment as the program then develops. Moving on to our delinquency update. I wanted to share with you all that we do have a delinquency policy that the board approved and filed. The process was approved back in February, and this led to us being able to create a process around what was approved. That process is posted online, and it follows a simple notice process. So we start with Cohere sends out a letter, it's an automated response, and then it goes on from there. In addition to the process that you see up there, in the back end of that, we also receive a delinquency report now that is something that is new. Next slide, please. The report itself will show us monthly data. It starts with who is delinquent, how many properties we have that are delinquent, and then it talks about the money amount that is delinquent. What is important to notice, though, is that that is going down. So we have, for total past due resident assessments, it's gone down just over 3.5%, and over 30 days past due has gone down just over 5.5%. So we are working on that, and it is something that Cohere has a person that is dedicated just to help us in that effort. As you recall, the transition that we went through last year, we did not do any enforcement as far as reaching out to folks for delinquency enforcement, and so the accounts did not go further at that point. We did wait until the delinquency was approved, that process was approved, and then we began starting to work on those accounts. So from that, yes?
I'll try to speak loudly.
Okay.
No, that's fine. This report that will be shared amongst various folks is both residential and commercial, correct?
No, it is just residential.
Okay, there's a process though for commercial?
Yes. This is, sorry, and thank you. I should have clarified that. This is just for the residential properties. So if you notice the delinquency update that I'm showing you here, this is a more complete picture of what occurs. We have statements that are sent, and I've given you all a sample of what those letters look like for your awareness. But we start with our statements that go out. It then follows up with the 209 reminder letter. From that, we go into what is a pre-lien notice. And that is, hey, your account is really past due. We really need you to address this. Otherwise, there could be consequences. That comes from Cohere at that point. From there, they get a final delinquent notice. And then after that, the folks in our accounting team call the resident and try and set up a payment plan with them. They ask them what is going on. They try to engage with them one last time. From that, if they have not resolved any issues from that, then it comes to me, and that's where the request for approval comes for you guys to advance it to then legal collection actions. In between that, though, I want to point out that we do work with anybody that is in an affordable program. We work with the Mueller Foundation, Robin and her team, and they get the reports on folks that might be falling behind in that. And then before any final action is taken to move them into that legal status, I specifically reach out to them and say, okay, of this list, is everybody still good to go? Is there anything else that has happened that we're not aware of? So we stay into constant communication with that. So once they come to me and the approval is requested, that's when then I send an email to you all. And what that means for you is that we have a list of accounts that have been delinquent for nearly a year at this point, because every time a letter goes out, the letter goes out at a specific time, then there's a curing date for that before the next one can be sent out. So it is a very lengthy process. So by the time they come to you all, they have been delinquent for about a year at this point. Once they go to you, I seek for approval. If you approve them, what happens from that point is they are sent to our legal team for collection status. They then send another demand letter, and if they don't get anywhere, then a lien is filed. And that's where it stops. Anything further than that has to come back to you all, and it has to be discussed in an open meeting, and approvals would be requested at that point if it reached that point. Yes, sir.
Sorry, one more question, and this is just for clarification. Can you just speak to the fact that this is standard and or best practice, and not just, this policy and this process isn't just for Miller, this is what a lot of...
That is correct. That is correct. It is a very standard practice. In fact, it's done in multiple states and nationwide, so.
Thank you.
And so on this point, Tricia, I believe you emailed the board with a listing of 39 accounts that you were recommending that they move to the next step and be forwarded to the attorney. And that is what we will be voting on under new business.
Yes. And I did want to point out that of that list, there have been a few changes on that. So when I will, with that approval, I will send an updated list for your awareness. There are accounts that some of them have changed and have paid since then, so that's good news. Some of them have other circumstances that have come to light, and so we're working on those. And then there was a couple more that just reached out to the Mueller Foundation, and there is a new plan in place for them. So in that pause, we were able to address a couple of those that had been sent out that did not previously have that engagement.
So there are fewer accounts.
Yes.
That's good.
Any other questions on the delinquency process or the expectations there? Okay. Moving on to the hailstorm update, I feel that, gosh, this has been a long time coming. I'm excited that we're at this place so that we can finally have some answers and get to the point where we can see some action as well. I want to start by kind of taking us backwards a little bit. We started the beginning of the year with an RFP for formal bids for a contractor to do the roofing and repair work. With that, we also created a special RFP working group at the recommendation. They were formed from the Row Home Committee, and some other folks had input on who they wanted to see on this group. So it was a mixed group with different priorities. Within that group, the Row Home, that group was comprised of the Row Home Committee members, affordable homeowners, row homeowners, and then of course we had support from our master board and mixed board, Mueller Foundation, POA, or myself, and our row home manager as well. We did receive 4 bids for that, and we had an extensive review and interview process for those. We got it down to the final 2. And when I say we, I really mean the RFP working group. They are the only ones that voted on it. We were there to provide assistance and guidance and give clarification when needed. But the team really did a lot of the heavy work in that. So I want to commend them in their diligence and their thoughtfulness in this process. In that, they did some of the things that were important to them were the operational capacity, communication approach, the materials options, some warranty considerations, and then of course the experience that each of these vendors brought to our community. And so from there, next slide please. They weren't quite satisfied yet, so we did some extra research on them, and that included more reference checks, project reviews, evaluation of prior work and industry reputation, discussions with some of our industry professionals, and subject matter resources that we were able to tap into. We had ongoing coordination with legal, our insurance team, and management representatives. So the focus throughout the process was impact and communication, long-term value and durability, project execution, accountability and oversight, risk reduction and operation coordination, and then the ability to make the repairs and improvements when identified. So we needed somebody that could be a little more agile as well. So from that, the Row Home Committee then made their final recommendation, and that is what you all will be, the Mixed Use Board then received that recommendation. They agreed and then is requesting that of you all tonight as well. So the next steps in the hailstorm update, we on Tuesday had a special meeting to pass the resolution, which is regarding the assessment. That was passed, and we do have copies of that available if anybody needs those. And if anybody has neighbors that they know are not online, let them know and we can help them out and get them that information. In addition to that, we have the RFP for the project manager has closed. We received bids for that, so we're reviewing those so that we can get the project manager on board as well. In addition to that, we realize that there are certain documents that the row home owners and shop homeowners are going to need. So we are developing a landing page that will have the list of documents that are needed. So those documents include our certificate of insurance, the statement of loss, the resolution will be on there, the memo that went out to the residents will be on there, and a few other items that are needed. But if anything else is needed that's not on there, then let us know and we can try and help out. In addition to that, we have set the Row Home Community Meeting. That meeting will be held on June 27th from 9 to 11. The place has yet to be determined, so we're coordinating that now, but more information on that will be going out as well. As mentioned earlier from Karen, June 15th we'll have the assessment statements will go out. That will have a lot of information in that, so we want to make sure that everybody gets that and it has information that is needed in order for people to make their assessments or know what their options are in that. And then also anybody that had submitted their receipts for reimbursement for repairs that they made, those will also be going out next month. And with that, I think that's all.
Can you clarify that last statement that you made regarding people that had submitted receipts? Did you say?
Right, so some folks had to do repairs on their own or chose to do repairs on their own. For those that have those receipts submitted, that will go out next month. So that comes from Coherence in the form of a check. It gets mailed to them. And so if somebody is waiting for a reimbursement check and your address has changed and you haven't updated it in Vantica, you should probably reach out to us and we can get that updated for you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
So Tricia, if people are hearing about the resolution and the memo and they didn't receive it, is there a way that they could get a hard copy?
Yes, if they need a hard copy, we have those in the office, so just come by Mueller Central and we'll be more than happy to get that to them. If it's difficult for them to get there, let us know and we'll figure out how to get one to them.
Great, thank you.
I want to go back a couple of items to the new staff people who are coming aboard. I understand, isn't it correct that some of them are going to be serving as staff liaisons to some of our new committees? Which committees will they be supporting?
So, gosh, I don't know right now. I know that the operations director will be supporting mixed use. And the director of assets will be supporting landscaping with our landscape director now that we have. But everybody else should be, all the rest of the committee should have liaisons still. So if there's one missing, let me know.
I'll check. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Tricia. Next, I wanted to give a little brief overview of some of the progress on strategic plan initiatives since it's the second quarter of the year, and we did set out an ambitious strategic plan. And I'm just highlighting 2 of the areas in the plan, and next month, if the agenda allows, we'll highlight a couple of other areas as well. But under governance and planning, we created a governance subcommittee, and they're working right now to review all the covenants and to work with, and they're working on and deliberating potential recommendations for covenant changes while we're still with the developer. We can make changes with the City of Austin and the developer during this time. It's still, in that regard, considered the transition period. And so that team includes, or that subcommittee includes representatives from all 3 boards, which I'm very glad that we have that level of participation. And Joe Freeland is heading up that subcommittee, and Joe will probably give us a more in-depth update at some point later this year on that. We also finally finalized committee guidelines, which have been worked on for several years now. So we have adopted committee guidelines, and those are being implemented with the committees. And then most recently, we had worked on community rules. We had a rules committee, an ad hoc committee that had reviewed all the community rules and recommended a few changes a few years ago or several years ago. And it did go to the board, but we didn't have a record of them being formally adopted. And so since it's been a while, we have put those back out to the community. You may have seen that go out in on one of the community life emails. And so we're waiting to give the community time to respond and review those. And then in June, those will be on the board agendas for mixed use and for the master board for adoption. And we'll make sure to sign those and record them so that we know that they've been adopted by the board this time. So if you haven't seen those, then maybe we can make sure that that link goes out again in case anyone is hearing about this and doesn't remember seeing that, we could send it back out one more time. Then in our assets, grounds, and landscaping areas, some of the initiatives, we really wanted to have a multi-year landscape management plan, since it is one of our most expensive assets. Of course, all our wonderful landscaping and parks and greenways and all that. And so the landscape committee, as well as Cohere and members of the board, have been working on that, and there's been some really good work done. They've created a vision and specific goals for the plan. We have a draft drought contingency plan that has been developed. And the next step, which is already underway, is developing design concepts and an implementation plan for a row home and courtyard rehabilitation project that will be multiple years. A lot of the landscaping is, a couple of decades old, and the planning for it are that old, and we have a lot of bare dirt areas. And so that's going to take some good planning and some careful design, as well as some additional funds over several years to really refresh all of that landscaping. We also this year set out to implement a GIS project to help us track all our documentation and assets and financial information, and to do a lot of cool things that we need to do. We have not had the bandwidth to kick off that project yet, but it is still in the plan for this year to have that kickoff meeting and to begin to make progress. We did give that in the strategic plan a 2-year time frame for implementation, so we're still on track, although we haven't quite gotten across the starting line yet on that one. And then the last thing I'll highlight, and there's so many more things than this that are going on in these areas, but the documentation for design and maintenance of the parks and greenways and some of our amenities has been available, but not in a knowable way for some folks. And so now the developer has actually created a cloud-based repository for all that good documentation, including maintenance plans that were created for our different parks and greenways. And the next thing we need to do is to create a secure process and a protocol for how to access and share that documentation from that cloud-based repository. And that is a good thing. That is a very good thing, because a lot of thought went into the design and the maintenance plans for those amenities. Any questions? Okay. So next, it's Joe Freeland with the Treasurer's Report.
Thanks, Karen. If you look at the report, you can see we're sitting on a large amount of cash right now. Don't get too eager to spend that, because about $6 million of that is insurance proceeds, which will go towards the row home restoration. Otherwise, we're doing fine cash-wise. Variances, we're doing very well tracking the budget this year. The only thing I sort of highlighted on here is that we're about $1.33 million under budget, which means we haven't spent that money. And really that is, as I think Tricia identified at least before, we've been short on staff, so we have excess staff funds, and then we haven't started a lot of the landscaping work yet. We were waiting to get designs and plans for that, and now it'll be summer, so we'll probably postpone some of that to the fall, but the plan will be to try to catch up in the fall on that spend. Action items, I had on here the special assessment, which I got to take off of the treasurer's report. We still need to hire staff and projects, and we need to keep following up on the collections process. We really just got that started to go. We're starting to see some improvement in that number. I think that was all did you have a question, Steve?
No, you covered it.
Okay. Questions, anybody?
Thank you. Brian?
I think the next topic is a proposed pilot program related to Austin Police Department. And before we get into the presentation, and you all have a copy, I think, in your packet, board members, but I just want to provide a little bit of context and provide a little bit of history on this. So to start with, by all accounts, there's relatively less crime in Miller than other parts of Austin and other parts even surrounding the Miller community, but crime does exist everywhere. And in a community as large as Miller and as many people that live in Miller, and because the commercial areas that we have here in Miller, there's always a more of an opportunity for car thefts, shoplifting, things like that. So there might be a little bit elevated reason for that. Some of you who are listening here may remember that we used to actually have Austin Police Department officers contracted to patrol the Miller community, but during kind of the pandemic and post-pandemic period, it was more challenging to actually get officers available to provide that service through the contract that we had for a variety of reasons. And so then we did a survey to the community, asked them if it was something we should continue so that we could continue to budget for. And the vast majority of the community said yes, it's still something that we are interested in. So we've decided to issue an RFP for private security companies, ultimately selected SRT, which does patrol the community to date. But earlier this year, an APD officer who happens to live in Miller contacted us in a very entrepreneurial spirit and said, we'd love to provide these kind of services again, but also recommended that we do it as a pilot program, see how it works for them, see how it works for us. Something that we certainly wanted to consider, ask them to put together a proposal, and so the rest of these slides kind of summarizes what that proposal includes. So next slide. So the pilot essentially would bring in law enforcement for a 90-day period during this pilot, with the ability to extend it at such point if we wanted to extend it later this year, or for budget purposes, discontinue it for a period of time and budget for it in 2027. There would of course be a review process for that, and we can cancel either party for any reason during the pilot or beyond. During this period, we would limit SRT's patrol I should also say that the area I'll talk about the area in just a second, but we would limit some of SRT's services during this pilot program to make sure we're not overlapping services, but also to help cover the cost of this pilot program. Next slide. So essentially the pilot program area would be along Aldrich Street from Airport Boulevard all the way to 51st Street. So that would include the hangar, the food trucks, Miller Central area, the district garages, the retailers along Aldrich Street, Kenny and Branch Parks, 7 apartment communities that are along Aldrich or Miller Boulevard, and then at the POA's discretion, we may ask them periodically to patrol other common areas, but that's going to be kind of just depending on the need, and also the availability of the officers and other resources. Next slide. They would patrol by foot. A couple of bicycles that the POA would purchase that we'd be able to use for staff as well if there was ever a need. And then they would also be able to use the recently purchased ATV vehicles that the porters use, but they'd only be able to use it when the porters are not using them for the services they provide in our common areas. We talked about a patrol car. That's something that we may want to consider in the future if that's something that we can budget for the future. If we did that, that would be something that we would need for the APD to be able to patrol the entire community. But for now, we're going to focus on foot, bicycle, and the ATV vehicles. And then I want to be very clear that they would be enforcing city, state, federal laws. They wouldn't necessarily be enforcing POA rules, and that's just a requirement that APD has. And then they would also help, coordinate, this is one of the great benefits of working with APD. They'd be able to coordinate with on-duty police officers who are kind of servicing the community as well. So if we ever had an incident out here, they'd be able to coordinate that much faster than we could directly with officers who are supporting the community as a whole. Next slide. The proposed period would be 6 hours a day, 7 days a week. We would not be publishing the schedule. It's not something we want criminals to know when they're specifically going to be here. They would be charging us $85 an hour, which is more than what Travis County Sheriff officers charge for limited services. And it's certainly more than what SRT is charging us, but it is less than what APD in their contracts with other places like the Domain and other places are charging. So they did offer us a discount. There also would be an expense that we would have to pay to purchase the bicycles. But we did a little research and determined renting bicycles would be significantly more expensive than just making a one-time purchase that we could use for perhaps other purposes. Next slide. So in addition to the contribution of the actual hourly rate, I mentioned the 2 bicycles and then the use of the ATVs, but we also would allow the officers to use just kind of a limited space at Mueller Central when needed to do some paperwork, be able to exchange information, be able to escape the heat that we're going to have this summer, take a quick break, that sort of thing. So we've been able to offer that for them as well. The remaining slides on here are really just kind of more administrative in purpose. It talks about the fact that we will make sure that they have proper insurance, the contract goes to the proper legal review, et cetera, et cetera. And then we kind of talked about next steps. One of the next steps would be once we have a contract with them, we'll have a kickoff meeting with them, and then we also want to make sure that we're having a touch base in the middle of the program, see how things are working, see if anything needs to be tweaked, and then of course making sure that we've got evaluation measures in place to determine how successful the pilot program is and decide if we want to come back and recommend that they continue, perhaps even in a broader scale as we go forward. Any questions?
I'm really glad to see this because I noticed in the past that was always something that was, I think the community really saw value in having actual police officers who have the authority to carry the duties forward. So I'm glad to see this.
Anything else? All right, I'll pass the mic back.
Thank you, Brian. That was a great presentation. And so was yours, Joe. Okay, so now we're going to move into our new business. And so some of your questions may have already been answered through reports, but we will be able to have discussion on each item as well, if you would like. But for each one, we will need a motion to approve and a second before we have that discussion. So the first one is approval of the April 26th financial report.
I move that we adopt the April 2026 financial report.
I'll second.
Thank you, Joe and Mike. Any discussion on the April financial report? Hearing none, we will go to a vote. All those in favor of approving the financial report say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously. The second order of business is the approval to forward certain delinquent accounts according to the collection policy as presented today to the attorney for collection. Could I have a motion to approve and a second?
I'll move that we forward those to the attorney for collection.
Thank you, Joe.
I'll second.
Thank you, Stephen. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of forwarding those certain delinquent accounts to the attorney for collection, say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay, motion carries. The next item of business is approval of APD pilot program for enhanced security. If I could have a motion and a second.
Make a motion, we approve the APD program.
Thank you, Joe D, for the motion.
I'll second.
Mike, thanks for the second. Any discussion of the APD pilot program? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the APD pilot program for enhanced security, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Actually, Karen, let me just make one quick comment. I just wanted to say that, this is a lot of new information for folks, and once we have a little more information, we've got, the details worked, a few more details worked out with APD, and we know when the program will begin. We will certainly communicate that in the messenger.
Okay, did we vote already?
Yes.
Okay, I thought so.
Sorry.
That's all right. So, were there any opposed? Okay, I remember the ayes. All right, so that passes unanimously. Our next item is a recommendation from the Mixed Use Board that the Master Board approve the recommendation that came forward from the Row Home Committee to hire Quick Roofing for the Row Home Roofing Project and to use Class 3 shingles. If I could have a motion to approve and a second.
I move approval of that we support the recommendation coming from the Row Home Committee regarding roof repair and other related costs.
Thank you, Mike. A second.
Second.
Thank you, Stephen. Any discussion? I would just like to thank the Row Home Committee because they take their jobs very seriously as elected representatives, and they have done a lot of work on this. Okay, so all those in favor of, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And then our last new business item is a recommendation from the Mixed Use Board that the Master Board approve that the public pool access fees for non-Mueller residents remain the same as the City of Austin's fee structure for Austin residents. Can I have a motion to approve and a second?
I'll make a motion to approve.
And
Brian?
I second.
Mike, thank you. Any discussion on this item?
Just wanted to make one brief comment that we discussed this fairly extensively during the Mixed Use Board meeting, and we felt that this proposal was in the best interest of all of the stakeholders, the community, and the public, and consistent with our values, and without keeping the rate the way it is for the public was just the right thing to do.
Thank you, Mike. Any other comments or questions? All right. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes unanimously. Well, we've made it through our new business section, and now I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make a motion.
Brian?
I'll second.
Brian and Joe. Okay. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here and for being online and for being here and joining us, community members. It makes it a lot more fun when members of the community are here. So thank you.
Okay, so that's what it was. Pretty clean. We should be appreciative of the members who give up their time to serve on the Master Board with the Property Association. Thank you. This is your host, Preston Tyree, signing off.